What's up, friends? I have changed my perspective on toxic masculinity. I'm not going to use that term anymore because of semantics. I think that there's a huge problem with using the term toxic masculinity, and I didn't used to think so, but now I want to use something different because the term toxic masculinity to many people, to a lot of men, is interpreted as men are toxic, like all men are toxic, and there's something inherently problematic about being masculine, being a man, right? And while I get that the term toxic masculinity has been useful for some people because it's given a voice and it's given a term to a lot of the problematic behaviors that have been perpetuated by men, I think using the term is actually alienating people. It's alienating men who would be open to reconsidering their behaviors and actions, but get turned off by the term toxic. So, semantically speaking, toxic masculinity implies that masculinity is toxic. It's pretty straightforward. I want to use the term wounded masculinity because it's much easier to go from a place of being wounded to being healthy. We all have experience from that, right? And being wounded is not this like absolute statement like saying something is toxic. Like if there's something toxic, it's generally going to stay toxic. If something is wounded, it implies that something happened to it and it's possible that it's going to get better. In fact, it's probable that it's going to get better, especially in today's society. So yes, there are a huge set of problematic behaviors that have happened in our culture for a long time because of this wounding that has happened to men. And yes, also men, we have so much privilege from being a man, but also society has really fucked us up in a lot of ways that I don't think enough people are aware of or consider. And it's okay to be angry about this shit, and it's okay to be frustrated by it and annoyed and sad even. Like, fuck society for telling us as men that it's not okay to be close with other people, especially men. Fuck society for telling us that it's not okay to cry. Some of the strongest men that I know cry, and they do so with just open abandon. Like they'll open their heart and just, oh God, like weep tears of grief. Because when you cry, you are releasing energy, you're releasing emotion, right? You're discharging this from your body. And that creates more spaciousness for the fucking powerful, awesome human that you are. And if you just bottle that down, if you bottle the emotion that could be released with crying, that's creating a lot of just shit that stays in your body that prevents you from being fully easeful, fully open and directive and present. Fuck society for telling us that we need to objectify women, and fuck society for telling us that there is a specific kind of woman that is beautiful. 99.9% of all the shit that we see out there is photoshopped, and these people do not actually look like this in real life. Like, I'm a professional photographer. I know how to trim somebody's jawbones if I want to. Like, it's very simple to manipulate a human's image to this like ideal societally created image of what is beautiful, right? Like, that has fucked us up. And so has porn. So like, fuck that too for giving me and giving us as men like problematic ideas around what sex is and how intimacy works and how sex works. Like, porn is not a good way to learn sex. And because of how society has said sex is shameful so much, like a lot of us didn't have good examples of that from our parents or good conversations. So fuck that too. Fuck society for telling us that we shouldn't be joyful. Like, there's stigma around experiencing joy. Like, what the fuck? That sucks. Like, joy, it's this like, it's an amazing experience to have joy, right? And if you go to the supermarket or you go to the mall and all of a sudden you're just like, like totally stoked on life, just like having this joyful experience, people are gonna think you're fucked up. There's not like openness to like, oh wow, that person's having this amazing experience. Like, lucky them. Wow, that seems awesome. No, it's like, ooh, they're too happy. They need to like tone it down a little bit, because being too happy is not a good thing. And same thing for being angry. Like if you see somebody just fucking pissed off in the parking lot, like, oh, don't go near them. Like, oh, ooh, they have some problems. Like they're not healthy. Like stay away from anger. Like that's another message we get. And the last one is just like, fuck society for creating this whole system of shame around sexuality. Oh, that one is just like, that really gets me. Our whole society demonizes sexual desire, and we as men get a lot of flack for our sexual desires, like they're unhealthy, or they're too much this, too much that, like not okay, like, oh, that's shameful, oh, don't fuck her like that, or don't, that kink is disgusting and you're dirty, or your fantasy is fucked up. Like there's so much of that, and sex is this amazing, beautiful, powerful thing to experience with yourself or with another human or other humans, like plural. And I say all this to say that like all of these things that I just shared, like they can create wounds in us from a young age. We are programmed with these messages from society from a really young age, and it can create a wound that will impact how we interact with other people in the world. Like if we suppress emotions, if we suppress our joy, if we suppress our anger, if we can't get our needs for closeness met, if we can't have a hug with our brother when we're having a fucked up day, like that is going to create a scenario inside where I or somebody is likely to act out. Like maybe there's like violence comes from that, right? Or maybe sexual aggression comes from that, or maybe like a fucked up ownership mentality comes from that. But it's coming from this place of wounding. It's not coming from a place of being inherently toxic. I am not inherently toxic. You are not inherently toxic. And I know toxic masculinity, the term doesn't imply that, but semantically speaking, it's really hard to get around. And there's a fuck ton of people out there who would be open to reconsidering their behavior, but who get turned off by this term. So I'm going to stop using it when I talk about the problematic behaviors of men. I am interested in using the term wounded masculinity and the term healthy masculinity. We need more healthy masculine in the world, and that's what I want to contribute to, and that's what I believe in, and that's what I want to support you in, and I want to support myself in that too. I want to see a world where men stand up and support each other. I want to see a world where men own their shit, where we realize like, hey, we're not fucking perfect, but I'm willing to do the work to look at my shit and to become a better human so I can contribute to society in a better way. I want to contribute to a society where we are not ashamed of our sexual desires. I want to be part of a group of men who own what they want, and they go for it with integrity and patience and love. And it's possible to go after whatever the fuck you want with those things and get them in a way that's going to be received well. Toxic masculinity is not a thing that I choose to believe in anymore. I believe that we as men are wounded, that it's okay to be wounded, it's okay to own that, because we all are. And if you think you're not looking close enough. And wounded doesn't mean bad. Wounded doesn't mean a death sentence or a life sentence of shit. It means you have the possibility and the potential to rise above and to become a more open, more integral, more present, more powerful being on this planet, to contribute to life, to experience your fantasies, to experience your dreams. Like you can have all of that and be healthy examples of masculine in the world. So that's it. That's my video for right now. If this resonated with you, I would love to know. Please leave a comment below. Let me know if anything here has brought anything up for you. That would be awesome to hear. And you know how to subscribe if you want to. I will be sharing more videos like this in the future. And thanks for being here. See you next time.